It's been 9 months now since DEFRA's new ministerial team took over, a team with strong agricultural credentials, as we hope you've spotted. And you have our backing, and you have our backing in writing. Our business plan shows exactly how much we understand and value the work that you do by stating clearly our priority to support British food and farming. Not just because 3 of the ministers are farmers, we have farming friends, farming relatives, farming offspring, but because of the urgency of the challenge that you face. We need you to produce more food and to produce more food sustainably. And because people's well-being, now and in the future, hang on your response to this challenge. The Foresight report that Peter has referred to, which was, I'm proud to say, sponsored by DEFRA, laid this out in no uncertain terms. The world's farmers must feed a growing population using less water, less fuel, and less land, all the while adapting to climate change. I was very glad to hear Peter's welcome of the report and the opportunities that this challenge brings to British farmers. Because I want the United Kingdom to take a lead. Peter asked about a food plan, but don't forget, we have a Food 2030 strategy, which you were involved in the evolution of. So would there be any point in tearing that up and writing a new one? But our Natural Environment White Paper and our Water White Paper, the first of this kind for 20 years, will set out how we see UK farmers showing the way, showing how to merge food production and environmental protection into one task, how to value and protect our natural resources, how to provide for ourselves without compromising the needs of future generations. You've already made great progress on sustainable intensification, if I can use the new buzzword. You've set a good trajectory. In the last 20 years, you've increased yields using less fertilizer with less greenhouse gas emissions. But I know you'll need the government's backing to continue along this. And you have that backing. It's a new relationship. And from this side, it's one of deep respect and great expectations. In my years working for the NFU, I saw at first hand how hard you strive to deliver. And it feels right to me to remember one former Sugar Beet chairman of yours, Matt Twydale, who taught me so much about the day-to-day risks and challenges that farmers face, in his case, all the while taking on his own responsibilities within the NFU. So let's look at the international picture. Food prices are again in the headlines, and it's energy and water shortages that are driving them up, what the Foresight report calls a perfect storm, which seems already to have arrived. Here, as Peter said, many households are already feeling the pinch. But in poor countries, we've seen the cost of bread can spark riots. Peter asked for agriculture to go to the top of the global agenda. So I'm glad that agriculture is on the G20's agenda for the first time. The UK must get world leaders to open up markets, allowing you to export more and freeing up world trade. We must push for transparency and good governance to tackle the price volatility that hits the poorest hardest. But it's you, the farmers, who hold the key to global food security. And it's essential that the CAP reform reflects this. So I applaud Commissioner Cholos for picking out the challenges of climate change and food security. But I fear that what is proposed lacks ambition and falls far short of an answer to the Foresight's challenge. The previous government's 2005 vision called for the elimination of Pillar 1 payments in less than a decade. Now, I think that approach was both naive and impractical, showing indifference to the problems facing many farm businesses and ignorance of the problems facing many member states. And that position resulted in us being ignored even by the Friends who agree that CAP needs modernising. This government's position, the UK's new position, is both more credible and more deliverable. And I want to nail just a few of the myths about what our position on the CAP really is. We say no to a dogmatic scrapping of subsidies tomorrow, but we say yes to genuine and enduring reform, reform that is evolutionary, in step with the global picture, reform that helps farmers become more market-orientated, reform that opens up markets to farmers, and reform that rewards farmers for the environmental benefits they deliver. This shift in position means that we can now become a major player in the negotiations, taken seriously. The NFU and its equivalent in Germany are in broad agreement on a number of reform measures. So too are the UK and German governments. Add Germany to our traditional allies in Scandinavia and the Netherlands, and the more progressive of the new member states, and we have a powerful alliance for change. As our coalition agreement stated, we are now a positive participant in Europe. Now, I'll be working hard for a deal that is fair to farmers, the food industry, taxpayers, and the environment. But let's be realistic. You yourselves recognise that national governments' budgets are under strain. And with finance ministers around Europe trying to balance their nation's books, there's bound to be some downward pressure on the CAP budget. Change such as this must be met with energy and resourcefulness, and the resourcefulness such as yours. And with the government behind you, you will not fail. I want this new relationship to be one of true collaboration. A partnership of equals. We're not going to tell you how to run your businesses. We're going to create the conditions in which your businesses can thrive. We're not going to ignore your dedication or dismiss your expertise, but we're going to help you use that dedication and expertise to full advantage. Now, we've made a good start, I think. We know you often feel strangled by red tape, so in June we set up a regulation task force, and rather than an academic, we chose your own Richard MacDonald to lead this work. But as we move from a culture of control to one of trusts, it's for you to ensure a culture of high standards. We know your work to protect nature is vital, and we know there's not much point rebuilding our economy unless it's with green bricks, and that farmers are the bricklayers. We can't build a green economy without you. So despite huge financial pressure, we've protected the Rural Development Programme for England. And our Natural Environment White Paper will cast you in your central role. But without set aside, we need you to get behind the campaign for the farmed environment. I know that Jim Pace has been enjoining farmers to do this. You asked for a voluntary, not a regulatory approach, so it's over to you. We know that you need science and expertise to help you reduce your greenhouse gas emissions. So we're putting £12.6 million for research to get you the very best advice. This new industry partnership is taking shape through the Greenhouse Gas Action Plan. We know you need UK standards of production to be recognised and rewarded, and Peter talked about this need. A government is committed to buying food that meets your high standards. We are a major customer. Our impact will be felt. And on food labelling, we've brought retailers, manufacturers and caterers together to ensure that if it's labelled British, it means it. Because we want to help you raise standards even higher. Shoppers want to know where their food comes from, and as the going says, the customer's always right. We know and value your expertise on animal health. Expertise that really showed through in the handling of blue tongue. We share the goal of reducing the risks and costs of animal disease, so we should share the responsibility. The Advisory Group on Responsibility and Cost Sharing published its valuable report in December, and we'll be making an announcement on that very soon. We know the UK needs a dynamic and professional farming industry, so we've increased our funding for apprenticeships, even in these hard times. So please do make the most of this money, this opportunity, because for farming to become more competitive, we need more and more young people to see it as a career. It must raise its profile, attract those young people, and invest in their future. So it's great to see the NFU's commitment to this through the Agri-Skills Forum. We know you've got a really good story to tell, a story that goes way beyond the gloss of PR. I'm thinking about the dairy farmer in Northumberland who transported midwives through the snow to do their job at Hexham Hospital. I'm thinking about the farmers in Cumbria who laid broadband cables, saving their community £100 for every metre laid. I'm thinking about the farmers in Suffolk who've been working together to raise the money to maintain coastal flood defences. I'm thinking about initiatives such as Highfield Happy Hens turning around the lives of troubled young people. You guessed it, I'm talking about the big society. It's a story, your story, that needs to be told, and we want to hear it loud and clear. But there are also, in farming, some really tough tales. And it's our job to try and make things fairer. Peter highlighted the plight of the dairy industry. The dairy sector has shown determination in its creation of a sustainable supply chain, building on the success of the milk roadmap. But the fact is that parts of the industry are struggling, and there are some very real opportunities, both at home and emerging markets, and we want to help dairy farmers seize them. We want to see more British businesses demanding British dairy products. Demand usually raises prices. And we're helping through our country of origin labelling and government buying standards, as I've already mentioned. We've given the Dairy Supply Chain Forum new life. What used to be a talking shop is now an engine room for change. The Commission's dairy proposal will allow producers to band together to negotiate contracts, and that is a great opportunity to increase your bargaining power. That job you kindly gave me involved an awful lot of negotiating with British Sugar, so I understand the power of farmers coming together, the bargaining power. Now, I know that there have been bad experiences in the past, but I've convinced the scope for the dairy sector to get a better deal. There are positive examples all over Europe of producers banding together to achieve success. On the other side of the equation is the power of the supermarkets, and I agree with Peter that if abuses are found, there should be sanctions. To ensure fairness here, the government is creating a groceries code adjudicator, and we keenly await the bill that's being drawn up by the Department for Business, Innovation and Skills. We also know that you are anxious for the decision on bovine TB. It's a devastating disease which must be eradicated. We are determined to get this right. So we need to follow the process very carefully indeed, and I thank you for your patience. I can never do justice to the size and complexity of the challenge this industry faces in a 20-minute speech. And I'm certainly not saying that it's going to be easy, but I can offer you a new relationship, a new partnership with government. In us, you have a partner that wants you to succeed and believes that you can. A partner that will fight your corner in the CAP negotiations. And a partner that knows your livelihoods are in our hands. A partner that will do everything in its power to help you thrive. We believe there's a positive future, and we want to make that future bright for farming. Thank you.